People, what's going on? Oh man. Feels good, feels great. You guys know the economy has changed. This is your boy Bob from Mentourme.com. Shout out to everybody that's gonna be on this live. Shout out to Facebook. Shout out to everybody on IG. We're gonna be talking about this economy. We're gonna be talking about 5 reasons why you don't want to be broke if we go into what we call an economic recession. People, you guys got to understand, this has happened before. It's about that time to happen again. We're way overdue in regards to the recession, and how things are looking is not looking too healthy. We're going to talk about 5 reasons why and how you can prepare yourself if we go into a recession, and what's the value of a recession, because a lot of us may not really understand, again, what happened in '08. Okay, that's the most current one. Or we could even go with what happened in 2019, I would say, was like a soft pullback. It was a great pullback, again, for the stock market. Stocks went from $40 to $5. Some stocks went from literally $100 to $20, 80% drops. I mean, it was amazing. And what's funny about that is within 6 to 12 months, all these stocks started going back up again. So it was a great opportunity to buy in that 2019, 2020 era. But now, how things are tanking, a lot of you, of course, I'm getting a lot of DMs. I'm selling. A lot of people are selling stocks. They're uncomfortable with the market. People, that's why I always say, if you're in the stock market, one of the things you have to understand, you have to go long term. If you're trying to see long-term growth with short-term investment skills, it's never going to happen. The whole wealth of life is learning how to go long-term. Minimum. If you are in the stock market, 5 years is minimum. Because at this point right now, based on how the economy is, of course, accelerating on crude oil, it's we're also in a position where where home prices are to the ceiling. Interest rates are very low, which they're about to increase on March 15th, that maybe 25 basis points. Again, and we're going to have maybe 5 to 6 more increases throughout the year to stabilize the market, stabilize the economy. That's what we're hoping. I want you guys to understand, in 2008, stocks were down 80 to 90%. Homes are down literally 40 to damn near 90%. 80% discount was going on in the housing market. When we talk about the real estate market, we're talking about the housing market, also in commercial real estate. If a building right now, hypothetically, was $1 million, it was probably $300,000 in 2008, 2009. Now, you guys really got to pay attention to what happened. We're in 2022, okay? Think about this for a moment, okay? 13 years later, the market is at its all-time high. If individuals bought in '08 or '09 or even 2010, it took them roughly a decade and maybe a quarter, or even just a decade based on their time span of buying, to see 2 to 3 times what they paid for the property. Understand, there were people that bought homes at $70,000 and rented them out for literally 10 years. The home paid for itself almost 3 times already. And they're still holding right now. Some people have sold. Imagine you bought a home for $70,000, collected Section 8 for 10 years. You probably made $600,000 already. Then sold it for $500,000 or $600,000 this year. Do you understand how much money you made if you bought during the recession? This is what I want you guys to always understand too, as you're investing, as you're growing. Always remember, whenever there's a catastrophe in life, there's always an opportunity. And the opportunity that a lot of you need to make sure you understand is that there's about to be a catastrophe. It's already happening. Right now, home prices are ridiculous. A lot of people are still unemployed. A lot of people have low-paying jobs. Crude oil is at about $133 a barrel. Gas prices are ridiculous. Whenever crude oil goes up, gas prices to the roof. As you guys know, this is because of, by theory, the Ukraine versus Russia war that's happening. And if, again, luckily, the U.S. cannot step in inside of that battle at this particular moment because of the NATO agreement. But at the end of the day, if we go to war, let's say, for example, Putin decides to touch Poland, whatever the case may be, we're going to war. This changes the whole dynamic. We could go into a full recession. And if we go into a recession, the question is, are you prepared to see what's going to happen? Or are you going to be in a position of financial struggles and saying to yourself, I wish I would have, could have, should have? This is why one of the reasons I've been talking to you guys for a long time to, of course, build your credit, because people, at the end of the day, it's about to be used momentarily if you understand and see what's happening right now. I've been talking about this recession for almost 4 years now, people. It's getting closer and closer. The stock market is tanking, crude oil to the roof. If we could get 2 consecutive quarters of bad unemployment, oh, we're in a recession, people. We're in the preliminary stages of a recession, and we got a whole different problem. You know what that means? Home prices are going to go down. And that's why I'm paying attention to seeing when Jay Powell, who's the federal chairman of the United States of America, I'm paying attention to see what happens when he increased the interest rates once, twice, 3 times. When he puts the economy in a position where money is not so affordable anymore. Because we already have a low supply of homes, people. And at the end of the day, with a low supply of homes, a high demand of homes, and higher interest rates, we could really have a crash here. People, right now, you got to really pay attention to the gas prices. In California, gas is about $6.30, $6.40 per gallon. A lot of people are still unemployed. Domestic products have increased anywhere from 5 to 33%, meaning products you use in your home, products you eat, products you consume. These products are up very aggressively. So it's taking you more dollars to buy those same products. If you guys really pay attention to what's happening right now, people, I want you guys to understand 5 things that's going to happen if we go into a recession, and you got to be prepared for it. 1, the stock market's going to tank. It's going to tank worse than where it is right now. A lot of you don't understand how bad it's tanking now. What's going on, Stephanie? What's popping? The stock market is pulling back aggressively right now, but it's not done yet. People understand March 16th, when this man increased interest rates, Jerome Powell, you're about to see a crazy drop if the market don't readjust itself correct. Imagine he increases 3 to 4 more times throughout the year. We're going to have a drastic pullback in the housing market. And there's a lot of multimillionaires, there's a lot of wealthy people that are living above their means. And what's funny about the recession, I want you guys to understand before we go into number 2, we know if the recession happens, the stock market's going to tank. We also know that at the end of the day, if the stock market tanks, there's a great opportunity for a lot of you to buy. Some of you, again, have bought a couple months ago, which is fine. I bought almost a year ago. I'm down. I'm down a lot of money, which is okay. Because again, when you're investing in the stock market, you're investing, meaning you're going long term. I do want to say this to a lot of you, stop trying to buy every dip. And I told you guys that from like 2-3 months ago. As the market keeps pulling back based on how the economy is right now, you cannot buy every dip that happens. If the stock was at 10, it goes to 5, you might want to hold on a little bit. Do not, okay, let me go buy at 5, let me go buy at 3, let me go buy at 2. People, you're going to run out of money. That's 1. And 2, you're going to start seeing that your average is not making sense anymore because you're averaging too quick. To me, I always had a rule when I had my whole chat room, I always told people at least average 50% or higher of a drop. So hypothetically, the stock is at $20. That's where you bought it at. The stock went to, let's say, $7. That's a good price to average at. That's my rule of thumb. I like to average at 50% or higher of a drop. But a lot of you that's chasing these dips, thinking that you're going to catch the bottom. I'm going to get the lowest price of the stocks. You're lying to yourself. It's not going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. You don't know what's going to happen next week. Because when Jerome Powell speaks, the whole world moves, people. Now, we all know one of the things that tank through a recession is the stock market. Just to give you guys a good example, how much of a tank it does is, I remember Bank of America went from literally, let's say $33 to literally $1.50, people. We're talking almost a 98% drop. If I'm correct, I remember Warren Buffett buying millions of shares at like $3 almost a decade ago. Imagine he's still holding right now. Do you guys understand how much money he probably made off of that investment? But not only that, did you guys see how long he had to sit and stay stable in that investment? He's still in it right now. He probably bought, I think, in 2011. This is a decade and a quarter probably later. He's still in that investment. The reason I'm saying this is because a lot of you get into the stock market, and at the end of the day, you think it's going to be a 1-2. I'm just going to play the volatile game when the way the market was when Trump was in office. It's not like that anymore. You have to hold tight. You have to stay stable. You're talking a 5 to 7 to 10 year wait before you see real growth in your stock portfolio. Number 2, the next thing that starts to tank when there's a recession, and this is the reason I'm talking about it, because I don't want a lot of us to be broke. I don't want us to be financially broke when this recession happens. The next thing that tanks other than stocks is the housing market. Homes go from literally $400,000 to $60,000. If you could get a mortgage, imagine your mortgage normally would probably be right now, I don't know, $1,500 on a $300,000 home, or maybe $1,800 based on FHA or conventional. But guess what? The market crashes, you get that same $400,000 or $300,000 home for $60,000. Your mortgage is probably $400 a month. You could rent it out for the next couple of years, 3 to 5 years, which would be smart. And then guess what? Every month while you're renting it out, paying $400, you're renting it out for $2,000. That's $1,600 in your pocket every single month. On the third year, the property probably already paid for itself already. And you did that for 5 years. Then guess what? On the 6th year or the 7th year, the same $60,000 home that you bought, that you rented out at $2,000, where your mortgage was $400 and you was profiting $1,600 a month, you sold it for almost $700,000. That's what a lot of people, right now, a lot of people are selling their homes that they bought in 2008 for 90% less than what it's worth today. A lot of you don't understand how bad the market was. People, pay attention. This is about to happen. Again, it has to recycle itself. I've been talking about this recession for 4 years. It looks like we're very close, people. We're very close to a recession. And the minute this market crash, you do not want to be that person that's broke. You do not want to be that person that don't have good credit to take down a property that was $500,000 that's now $80,000 or $100,000. Now, we all know if your FHA is your first home, if it's a $100,000 home, 3.5%, you need to come down. You need to have a down deposit of $3,500. If it's not your first home, you need to have at least 20% of the $100,000 to go conventional, which would mean you need to have $20,000 plus closing costs. A lot of you need to understand how to prepare yourself, because you don't want to be that broke person if this market goes into a recession. Number 3. I want you guys to understand, we know that the stock market is going to tank in a recession. We know the home market is going to tank in a recession. We also want you to know that at the end of the day, when we look at commercial real estate, which is something that a lot of the culture is not aware of, people, there's a lot of people in this world that own apartment complexes. They're collecting rent from 10, 20, 30, 40 people a month. While some of you are collecting no rent, meaning you're paying rent. Meaning you go to work every single month to pay somebody else's debt, while your debt is their income. Every month you pay $2,000 to somebody, that person is enjoying $2,000 because that's their income. Because they decided to do what I'm talking about in this video today, which is prepare themselves for the recession and then learn to invest during the recession. Because in a recession, you have 2 different types of people. I want to have you guys understand that. You got one person that's going to tell you, man, the market's down. I wouldn't buy if I was you. Home prices are tanking. Car prices are tanking. Apartment, commercial real estate prices are tanking. And then you got another person like, hold on, this is the best time to buy. This building was just $2 million. Now it's $700,000. Because you got to realize that a lot of people, when there's a recession happening, you have 2 different sets of people also in this world, where some people are paying higher rent. And you have that next person that can't afford their rent because they lost their job. I want you guys to understand how many people, which is number 4. There's a lot of people, when the recession happened, they lose their job. So they'll have no money because their job was their only source of income. So then what they do is go beg unemployment, hoping that unemployment could save them and keep them afloat. The reason you want to start thinking about how you're going to survive if a recession happened, because some of you don't realize that your only stream of income is a job. And when these jobs furlough you, fire you, temporarily reposition you, demote you, you're going to be in a real financial struggle. Because what I've learned is that they say that 90% of Americans in this world today have less than $1,000 saved in their bank account. Which, in a weird way, it's hard to believe that is true, but it's actually happening. There's a lot of people who look apart, have the best brand names on, got the best expensive cars, but at the end of the day, you own nothing. The only thing you own is your car and your job. And in a weird way, you don't own your job, because if a recession happened, you get fired. You're the most expensive cost in any business. A lot of you don't understand the truth of how business works. The most variable cost, the most expensive cost in any business is the employee. Why do you think the first thing that companies do? American Airlines. We can name thousands of companies. When we had the soft pullback due to COVID 2 years ago, what they did, started firing everybody. Some people got fired within 30 days, was already complaining they can't financially survive. What that tells me is you had no savings. What that tells me is you had no credit. What that tells me is you have no support system. If your employer fires you and within 30 days you are financially struggling, that means you do not have your life in order. Do not blame the government. Don't blame your friends. Don't blame your spouse. Don't blame nobody except yourself. A lot of you need to understand what I'm talking about today. The 5 things that crash when we have a recession. We talked about stocks. We talked about home prices. We talked about commercial real estate prices, buildings, plazas. These are all the companies right now charging you rent, taking money out of your pocket. When there's a recession, you finally are in the driver's seat to now have rent come in your pocket. One man's debt is another man's income. A lot of you need to understand how this world works. When a recession happens, it's actually a great thing. If you understand how to leverage your life, if you understand how to invest, if you have your credit in order, if you understand the opportunity that's presented in front of you. But for some of you, when the recession happens, you go broker than you probably are currently are. Some of you are financially struggling right now. No matter who's the president, you're struggling. The president makes no difference to your struggles, because the problem is not the president, it's you. It's how you manage your money. Some of you don't understand, even if there is an opportunity, there were condos going for $5,000 to $10,000. $5,000, you could have got a condo, two. Those same condos right now are going for $225,000 in Pembroke Pines. There's a city called Lauderhill in Florida. Condos are going for $10,000, $5,000. Those same condos are going for $130,000, $140,000 right now. And when the recession happened, a lot of you decided to not enjoy the opportunity for several reasons. One issue is that you guys couldn't afford it. 2 is that you didn't understand there's an opportunity. 3 is that you lost your job, so you started complaining and focusing on your job, then focusing on, of course, the opportunity that's at hand. A lot of you don't understand. You wouldn't be struggling right now if you just understood the value of credit and understood the value of an opportunity. I did a video, you guys know, it's on my YouTube, talking about the importance of having good credit, talking about holding yourself accountable for when you make a mistake, talking about, of course, learning how to invest. Why should you invest? I have a lot of great videos on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I love the fact that when a recession happens, there's so many different types of people. There's the people that's going to increase rent because they own properties. There's the people that's going to leave their apartment because they can't afford the rent. There's going to be those individuals that's looking for properties because they lost their house. In a recession, it's so funny how many people lose their house. And what it really shows me is a lot of you couldn't afford the home anyway because you're living above your means. I love when I hear people say, oh, I'm pre-approved for a reckless amount of money, $400,000 or $500,000. Knowing that whatever the mortgage price is, let's say it's $4,000, you can't afford it. But by theory, you could afford it right now. You're willing to work 2 jobs. You're willing to struggle just to have that mortgage right now. Then the market crash. That same $500,000 home you bought, a guy like me and many other investors across the world, and many people who understand opportunities, we bought the same $500,000 to $700,000 home right from you for $60,000. And guess what? You move out, you go rent, then we take your property, we rent your property, and then guess what? It's paid off in 3 years through Section 8. And then the same $70,000 house we just bought from you, that you paid $500,000, that you're in debt for, that you just lost, 7 years later, we're now selling that same $70,000 property for $1 million. People, I hope that this video really give you guys a level of knowledge. People, I'm never here to give you guys fabricated stories. We're going into a recession. It seems like it. We're very close. This market is very aggressive. The real estate market is going to pull back. March 15th, 16th, interest rates are going up. That's the first 25 point increase. And when the 25 basis points increase, when Jerome Powell increased interest rates on March 15th, March 16th, we're going to really see where this market, where this economy goes. Now, the question is, as the economy starts to readjust itself, we see the stock market tanking. We see the crypto market tanking. The next thing that needs to tank is the housing market. And it's about to come right now. Now, I don't think it's going to tank like it did in 2008. I just feel like it's going to be a great correction. That's going to give a lot of us an opportunity that probably didn't have an opportunity to make a lot of money. That's why I'm always telling you guys, prepare yourself, make sure you have good credit, save your money. And understand, if this real estate market crash, which it looks like it's about to happen, you need to ask yourself a question. What side of the table do you want to be on? Do you want to be renting properties during the recession? Or do you want to be collecting rent during the recession? You understanding what side of the table you want to sit on, that's really up to you. Because a lot of you, I get it. When it comes to cars, when it comes to jewelry, when it comes to dressing fresh, you guys have an A+ in that area. But when it comes to building wealth, there's a problem. It's like the vision gets real blurry for some of you. At the end of the day, you're going to start to see real soon how important it is to leave legacy behind. And remember, I told you this first. If we have a recession like the 2008, you're going to have to choose what side of the table do you want to be on. Do you want to be paying rent? Do you want to be collecting rent? That's going to be for you to choose as a grown adult. This is your boy Bobby from Mentourme.com. Don't forget tonight, 10:30 p.m. live. I have 2 great entrepreneurs that came from nothing to something, doing a landscaping business that's fully structured, making 6 figures, high 6 figures a year. I'm going to be live with them tonight on, of course, Instagram. Make sure you tune in 10 p.m. Eastern time. I will be live with Tiffany and Bobby tonight, hearing their journey coming from nothing to growing an empire that's growing. It's still growing. Feeding themselves, feeding their families, having their own hours, not having to clock in, building a brand that stands for something compared to a lot of us who stand for nothing. At the end of the day, people, I don't know if you guys realize this by now. You're getting older. Time is something that you don't get back. It's very imperative that you use it wisely, because for some of you, at 30, 35, 40, 45 years old, you still don't get it. It's okay. Just remember, it's your life. It's your life. It's your story. Mentourme.com. It's your boy from Mentourme.com. I got to get to another appointment. People, I appreciate all of you watching my live on Facebook, IG. I don't know which is which. But at the end of the day, I love you all. Make sure you guys like, share this video. People need to hear this information, consume this information. If you got in at the late end points of the video, make sure you rewatch it, educate yourself, learn and take from it what you need. At the end of the day, we need the truth. As you guys know, every Thursday night I do a podcast live. It's called The Painful Truth. Sometimes we talk about relationships. Sometimes we talk about just everyday topics. But we're talking about the painful truth. Every live I do is always going to be about the truth. I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm here to tell you the truth. And the truth is right now, if we go into a recession, the question is, are you prepared for this recession? Based on your credit, based on your finances, do you have enough savings? Are you able to take down 2-3 properties if they go from $300,000 to $40,000? Can you take down 2 to 3 properties so you could build legacy for your family? Mentourme.com.